All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're looking at a chapter that is so much more than just a fight. This is the moment a pirate crew is truly forged in fire. We're talking about a captain stuck in a cage, a swordsman who's badly wounded, and a thief who's still on the fence, and how they start to become a legend. So yeah, chapter 16 versus the Buggy pirate crew. And man, this is an absolute pressure cooker of a chapter. You've got Buggy the Clown and his whole circus of officers just looking so smug, so completely in charge. And then you look at our guys. Luffy's helpless, Zoro's bleeding, and Nami is kind of just looking out for herself. The odds, they're literally impossible. And you know what? That's what makes this whole thing so awesome. I mean, just look at this. It is about as bad as it can get. Luffy, the guy who's supposed to be the future king of the pirates, is jammed in a cage that's way too small for him. Zoro, his right-hand man, just took a knife to the gut from a total cheap shot. And Buggy's crew? Oh, they are loving it. They're laughing. Seriously, from any angle, this looks like game over. So that brings us to the big question of the chapter, right? When you are totally outgunned, completely outnumbered, and your captain is literally trapped, how in the world do you win an impossible fight? The answer isn't just about punching harder. It's about something way, way more. And here's the first part of that answer. Just pure, unbelievable willpower. I mean, look at Zoro here. A stab wound that would put any normal person down for the count is, well, it's just an obstacle for him. He doesn't just get up. He gets up and immediately squares off against Kabaji, ready for round 2. This isn't just being tough, it's loyalty. His captain's in trouble, and for Zoro, that means backing down is just not in his vocabulary. And then he says it. This line right here, this is the bedrock of Zoro's entire character for the whole series. It's this promise that he made, this vow to become the world's greatest swordsman. This isn't just some cool-sounding boast. It's the code he lives and dies by. He's not just fighting some guy on a unicycle. He's fighting for his dream. And he doesn't just say it, he proves it, instantly. There's no pause. He makes this epic vow, and then boom, he's right back in the fight, showing that even with a giant hole in his side, his skill is on a whole other level. This is what being reliable looks like. This is the guy Luffy chose to be the very first member of his crew. Okay, so while Zoro is out there being an absolute monster, holding the line, what's our captain doing? Is he freaking out in the cage, screaming for someone to let him out? Nope. While Zoro's handling the muscle part of the equation, Luffy's playing the long game. He's doing something much more critical at this moment. He's thinking. Just check out his face here. That is not fear. It's not panic. That is pure 100% focus. Luffy is using this time to dissect his enemy. He's watching every little move, figuring out how the chop-chop fruit works, seeing every weakness. This is one of the first real glimpses we get of his genius-level battle IQ hiding under that goofy personality. He's not waiting, he's hunting. And then, the whole game flips on its head. One of Buggy's own guys, remembering how Luffy survived that buggy ball, shouts it out. Luffy's a devil fruit user too, a rubber man. Now, you gotta remember, in the East Blue, this is a huge deal. Suddenly, Buggy isn't the only special one on the battlefield. I mean, just look at the shock on his crew's faces. The playing field just got a little more even. You know, let's compare these two powers for a second. Buggy's chop-chop fruit makes him impossible to cut, which is, a massive advantage against a swordsman. It seems terrifying. And then there's Luffy's gum-gum fruit. It just makes him stretchy. It seems kind of silly, right? But this is where the genius of Oda shines. He's about to show us that it's not the power you have, it's how you use it. And this just shows Buggy's total mental breakdown perfectly. On the left, he's arrogant, he's in control, he's loving life. And now, on the right, he is absolutely losing it, screaming at his guys for not telling him about Luffy. He's lost all his cool. The second he was faced with an equal, his whole confident facade just crumbled. But hey, even with Buggy rattled, things on the ground are still pretty dire. Zoro is fading fast, he's fighting this tricky opponent, and Buggy himself is about to go in for the kill. Luffy is still stuck. It really feels like checkmate, doesn't it? So, seeing his opening, Buggy goes for another cheap shot. He uses his Bara Bara cannon, launching his hand with a dagger straight at Zoro's back. It's a desperate move. And it's worth pointing out that Nami actually forces his hand here a little bit by kicking his lower body, making him act rashly. He thinks this one little knife is going to end the whole fight. So Buggy thinks it's done. He thinks he's got it all covered, But in his rush, in his panic to just finish Zoro off, he made one fatal mistake. He forgot one tiny but super critical detail. He forgot about Luffy's feet, and all that time Luffy spent just watching and thinking from inside that cage. Well, this is the payoff. In one single, brilliant move, he stomps down and pins Buggy's hand to the ground. The threat is gone. The entire battle turns on this one tiny action from the one person everyone thought was out of the fight. But that stomp, man, it was so much more than just stopping a knife. It was the spark. It was the exact moment that these three, the captain, the swordsman, and the navigator, stopped just acting on their own and became a team. This is the birth of real teamwork. So let's just quickly recap what we saw here. We saw real leadership from Luffy, not by shouting orders, but by taking the one perfect action he could from inside a cage. We saw the very first seeds of trust being planted, with Zoro holding the line and Nami helping in her own way. And we saw that even a super powerful enemy has a weakness if you're smart enough to find it. Luffy didn't win this with his fists, he won it with his brain. And when you look at this shot, you can see it all just click into place. You've got Zoro's insane power and will. You have Nami's sneaky strategy and sharp eyes. And you have Luffy's unique brand of leadership and battle sense. Each one of them played their part exactly right. This is the formula. This is the core of what will make the Straw Hats so unstoppable. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. At this point in the story, they don't have a real ship. They don't even have their own flag yet. So what really makes a pirate crew? This chapter's answer is that it's not the stuff you have. It's the trust. That unbreakable, unspoken trust that no matter what, your crewmates have your back. But don't you dare get comfortable, because this fight is not over yet. Now that the tables have turned, the real main event is about to kick off, Luffy versus Buggy, one-on-one. You are not going to want to miss our breakdown of Chapter 17. So if you like this, please hit that like button, subscribe, and definitely ring the notification bell. We'll see you next time.